Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. Well, as you can see, Sarah has dropped by, the spoke dinosaur. The spoke dinosaur for my white smooth bone knife collection. And in front of us we have, 3 white smooth bone knives. Or are they white smooth bone knives? And also, they're all by James Parker. They're all Parker Eagles. Or are they? Well, let me put it this way. They were all sold on eBay as white smooth bone knives from Parker Eagle. And the person was saying pre-2000. Well, the only thing I know for certain is one of these knives is a Parker Eagle knife from Parker Cutlery Company, and it would have been from, I believe, from 1978 to around 1990 that they were made, so it would have been a knife from the 1980s, and that's the bottom one here. Now, the middle one here is an Honest Abe knife. I'm not sure if Parker Cutlery made the Honest Abe knives or not. And this top one doesn't have any name on it at all. It only says that it was made in Japan. And technically, it's even hard to even consider this one a knife. But it's still pretty cool. And all 3 of these knives live in my white smooth bone knife collection. Let me start with the one in the middle here, which is the Honest Abe. And as you can tell, it's kind of a square-shaped knife. And it's very much like a classic SD. Matter of fact, size-wise, it is pretty much 58 millimeters long. Whoops. That's what happens when you got slippery plastic and slippery bone. But this is slightly larger, just ever so slightly larger. And you notice that the corners are kind of sharp edges. It's not rounded off or anything. And also, it lacks a key ring. The fact that it lacked a key ring was one reason why I almost did not buy this knife. Now this, like I mentioned, is the Honest Abe. And the person selling it said, Parker, ? So they really didn't know either if it was by James Parker or not. You see there, Honest Abe. And you got your little pin blade, and then on the other side you have your nail file, and it's the cross-cut nail file going on. The other side you have your match strikers there, or also you can use that for sharpening hooks or also for a nail file. Got a very good cleaner though, nail cleaner tip going on there. Actually, it's fairly sharp and pointy. If you notice there, it's got a little bit of a swedge going. Now, it is not sharp, but you can see that they did actually do a little work on there to make it a little more pointy than what you typically see on those nail files. And then on the other side, you have a pair of scissors. Typical of the Japanese scissors at the time, the way the cut is on there. Notice how it comes to a point, and you've got the single spring going on with it. Very long nail nick running along the top there. But it's really a well-made knife. Well, let's compare the scissors. Not going to go through everything. See there your classic SD scissors versus the scissors on here. Notice a much smaller pair of scissors, but they do function. They do cut pretty well. You got a different design of the nail nick, and this is very common of the Japanese scissors that were all the way back in the 1960s and 50s even, the way they are designed and everything. So it has not caught up with the Victorinox scissors. I do not know if this knife was actually made in the 1980s or not. It might have been made even earlier than that. I don't know much about the Honest Abe knives. If anyone out there knows more about the Honest Abe knives, like were they actually made by Parker Cutlery, or is this one of those knives that was made by Jim Frost? I really don't know. What I do know is these were made in Japan, and the quality of the build is really good. You know, it's got the surgical steel going on and everything else. Does it have Japan? Yeah, there you go. Either Japan and Honest Abe. Let's move on to the next one here. Okay, I'm going to move to the top and save this one here for last. This is the one that is clearly a Parker Cutlery Company knife, or Parker Eagle is what people often will call it. This one, however, is a pipe cleaning tool. You're going to hear me call it a knife about a half dozen times because, well, it's a knife channel, but really this is more of a tool. The blade on here is not sharp. Of course, there are other knives out there that do not have a sharp blade. Butter knife, butter spreaders, they don't really have a very sharp blade either. But technically, this is more of a tool. Still, I have other pipe cleaning tools in the knife collection, so I saw this one and I grabbed it. It was listed as another one that was Parker ? And in this case, it has absolutely no tang stamps on it, but it is marked that it is made in Japan. And it looks like it came from around that time period. Is it Parker? Who knows? Is it made by Frost? Who knows? The only way you would be able to know is if you actually got the packaging for it. And unfortunately, I do not have the packaging. If you notice, it looks like a natural smooth bone. You see the staining on here. That might be from oil getting on the handle. It could have also been, from looking down here, from actual use where somebody was, got it too close to a pipe. I don't know. You see here the little flecks of black in here. That is naturally occurring in a lot of natural smooth bones, sometimes referred to as white smooth bone. And it was much more common in the past. You see it on this one too. And sometimes you'll hear people refer to this as smooth pepper bone because of the little black flecks in there and everything. But it is just a natural smooth bone. You don't see that if the bone has been bleached or if it has actually been dyed white. And a lot of white smooth bone these days is actually dyed to make it whiter than the natural smooth bone. Case is a company that you will often see it referred to as natural smooth bone. And it looks like that is what the case is, or the situation with all of these knives. It is actually natural smooth bone, not a white smooth bone that has been dyed white or has a coating on the outside that makes it whiter. So you will see the peppering in there and such. And I kind of like that sometimes. Sometimes it's overpowering. I've got a couple Rough Rider Barlows that have the peppering in it, which is pretty cool. But you also see this brown staining, and that could actually be from oil. That will definitely happen around joints on knives, natural smooth bone, when the oil will drip through and get into the pins and come out, and then you'll see staining around the pins. But in any case, not a bad shape. It's really kind of cool. You have the typical blades that you find on a pipe cleaner's tool. You've got the spike here, or the pin, whatever you want to call it. And this is actually, I thought this was for cleaning out the pipe stem, but I was corrected a while back. This is actually used for aerating the tobacco. You basically use it to poke holes in the tobacco so that it'll draw more air through it and burn more cleaner, or more smoothly, so you can actually draw air through the tobacco and get it through the pipe and everything. Obviously not sharp, not too pointy, doesn't need to be for what it's being used for. And then you've got the tamper here, and that is once again, you have to tamp the tobacco down so it doesn't fall out. And also you want a nice tight plug so that it will burn better. So it's like you're fighting back and forth with this and this to get the tobacco just right, so when you're smoking a pipe. I've never smoked anything before. I don't smoke cigarettes, don't smoke cigars, never smoked a pipe, any of that. I'm just fascinated by the tool. And that's why I did not know a lot about it until a couple of pipe smokers corrected me in an earlier video. And finally, you have the scraper blade here, and that is for cleaning the bowl. And if you notice, this side is flat. You've got a, what would you call that? A chisel grind going. But this, like I said, is not sharp at all. Not at all sharp. Neither is this spot here. I suppose you could cut tobacco with it if you wanted to. But really, this is for scraping the bowl. And, just getting in there and cleaning out the bowl and getting it nice and clean so that you can put in fresh tobacco and continue to smoke, I guess. So pretty cool. As you can see here, like I said, it just says stainless steel Japan or stainless steel Japan. Nothing on that side. Nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, and nothing on the long spike going on there. So who made it? I don't know. But it looked pretty interesting. It looked kind of cool. It is definitely well made. Was it made by Parker? Was it made by Frost? I have no idea. I know it probably dates from the 1980s or 1990s from Seki, Japan. So another quality little tool here. And let's move on to the last one here, which is the genuine Parker Eagle. And when I found this one online, it came with the box. And you see there it just says smooth bone, and it is the mink. I bought this because I wanted an equal end penknife, and this is the closest thing I could find in white smooth bone. You will see that the ends do meet. Nice little small box. It's not magnetic or anything, and this is known as the mink. You see it there. And there's the whopping price of this knife back in the 1980s, $2.98. And it came with some really cool packaging. And again, this is the mink. And you do see the staining there and the flecks in there. Now, the person selling it said it was Appaloosa Bone, but I do not believe that those stains in there were caused by any attempt at actually staining the bone. It might have been, but it sure doesn't look it to me. Maybe on this side a little bit more than this side. This side definitely looks like just natural smooth bone. And this is the back side. So maybe there was an attempt to do some staining on this to make it an Appaloosa bone. I don't care. The front side is very much natural smooth bone, so it lives within my white smooth bone collection. And what you notice here is you've got these brass tipped ends with the liners here that basically bend up around the end of the bone. And then you've got brass pins holding the bone onto the liners, and then a stainless steel back spring and surgical steel blades. You've got a nice little pin blade, or I'm sorry, this is really the spear blade. And you see there Parker Cut Company, and you got the little Parker logo underneath there. And then you've got the mink on the blade. And this knife came to me totally unused, new in the box basically. So you've got the spear blade on this end, and then a small pin blade on this end. Very small pin blade. How small? There you go. Basically about 1 inch overall, with a 3/4 of an inch cutting edge going on there with it. And the main blade a little bit longer, just under 2 inches, 1 7/8 of an inches, with about 1 5/8 inches cutting edge there. And the knife overall is just right at, I would say, 2 7/8 of an inch. So not a big knife at all, but a nice little knife though. And like I said, made in the 1980s, made in Japan. You do have blade wobble going on there, nothing dramatic. I have a feeling that's the way it was day one that it came out of the factory. Squeeze it, and yeah, a little bit better. Main blade, no, I'm sorry, little blade, no wobble whatsoever in there. But just a pretty cool little knife, and 3 more knives in my white smooth bone collection. Well, 2 knives and 1 pipe cleaning tool. But the Mink right now is the one knife that I have that it's there because I'm looking for a nice white smooth bone equivalent knife, more like an office knife. Will I ever find one? Who knows? But for right now, there's 3 more knives in my white smooth bone collection. Hope you enjoyed that. Stick around for a few slides of these knives. Let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with the Pious. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.